about what an emergency looks like. I'm in Edmonton right now, where there's homeless people all over the streets, and I tabled a motion at a government operations committee to look at government lands and how we would use those lands, Mr. Chair, to ensure that we have adequate housing for people. And we know that the Conservatives have talked about using 15% of government buildings and lands to build a housing for Canadians. We know the government has talked about using government lands as well. But my study was in particularly narrow focused on ensuring government lands are used for public purposes, for affordable housing, and ensure that government lands belong in public hands. That's an emergency. That's a reason to have 4 committees studying an issue when we've got homeless people skyrocketing out of control. I just want to make sure that, Mr. Chair, that when we call an emergency meeting, that it needs to be done in a way that reflects an emergency. We've brought in all the staff in the House of Commons right now to do this meeting ahead of what the Auditor General is already going to be tabling. And I think that this is interference in a study that's taking place. And I don't believe that this meeting should be taking place for that reason. And secondly, I don't believe this is truly, I don't believe this justifies an emergency meeting in Parliament.
Thank you.
I wanted to put that on record.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Johns. So your point of order is that you object to the meeting being called, which is not technically a point of order, but I wanted to give you time to speak. I will address your first point. In fact, this committee previously invited the Office of the Auditor General to appear on this exact subject while that investigation was underway. It was viewed as a routine meeting. That again was during a recess week, so there is certainly precedent. And in terms of interference, well, we have a witness here today from the Office of the Auditor General who is prepared to speak. So I don't quite follow the logic of this being interference. And I'll note that that previous meeting we had on October the 12th not only resulted in information being shared publicly, which was noteworthy, it also resulted in the auditor then taking steps to ensure the committee's concerns were addressed in the current report. So I've heard your point of order, which again I listened to more to allow you to get on the record, but the meeting is going to proceed. Well, so this we're not in debate. Point of orders. If you have a point of order, say point of order. Otherwise, I do want to hear from Mr. Hayes. No other points of order?
A point of clarification then, Mr. Chair. This meeting could have been called earlier in the week. I find it suspicious that the Conservatives decide to move a meeting, to have a meeting on a Friday when 3 other political parties are in the middle of their strategic planning sessions.
Well, Mr. Johns, it's okay. Mr. Johns, it's Thursday. There's all kinds of overlapping caucus meetings. The letter I received that was sent to the OAG from Mr. McCauley was just end of last week, and so I worked through that as quickly as I could. So anyway, your objection is noted.